Hi everyone, this is the retail team, and today we're going to discuss different topics such as how to deal with disruption, specifically in the retail industry and across all industries as a whole.
Hey guys.
Hi.
We're team.
Hi everyone. You go first.
Yeah, sure, I'll go first. So, the one thing that I kind of noticed multiple times that as I was going through everything was that the underlying and overarching premise of disruption is that we have to stay attentive and conscious of trends. Everything that I've noticed at least through the researching the specific industry and the culture of it, everything was based on trends, kind of like how fashion comes in and out. And it was something that I think that we're going to have an advantage of when we're starting to move forward and when we're older, is that we've grown up always being attentive and we're always conscious. So for us to be able to cope with and deal with a disruptive force, no matter what the industry is, it's going to most definitely stem from being attentive. I don't know if any of you had any feedback or if you came up with like similar concepts while you guys were doing your research.
I came across the same thing in the fact that awareness is a primary step to how to be involved in disruption and how to know what's going on. But I think on top of awareness, you definitely need to have an interest, so a desire to learn what's going on and know that everything that happens is going to have one way or another an effect on you. So just having that type of awareness and acknowledgement for what's going on around you is a big help as well.
Also, while looking into the customer side of retail and disruption, you noticed how customers are already being disrupted because they want more things faster. So you realize that that's happening to everyone, but also, like Melissa said, it's important to be informed educationally about how the disruption is working for like employment purposes. And one thing, what my company is doing, I currently intern for Bank of America, so they actually give free subscriptions to lynda.com for all of their employees. So like I have a free subscription to lynda.com, whereas people normally have to pay $35 or $40 a month, and you have access to everything from like Google Analytics to finance to coding, and it's all at your fingertips. And it just goes to show you that it's not hard to learn new things today. It's not hard to stay informed. It's just like, as Melissa said, you just need to have that want and drive in you to actually go out there and learn something new. Because even if you want to look at a free site, you can look at Khan Academy and learn a completely new skill that will help you for the rest of your life.
I think that another part of the whole awareness and interest that we just spoke about is that you have to know that disruption really exists. So not only just awareness that this stuff is going on, but know exactly what disruption is. And I think a part of it is giving disruption the definition that not a lot of people know. So the things that we talk about, people don't know that that's called disruption. They just see it as changes going on. So I think actually giving disruption a definition and making that definition known so people are aware that now that there's drones, that's disruption, not just a change that's going on that's going to transform retail and transportation, things like that.
Yeah, we didn't see the iPhone as something that's disrupting technology. We just saw it as, like, it's a new phone, it's a new thing, it's change, not disruption. And people just need to gear themselves in a different mindset where they see as that is disruption, because it's going to cause a domino effect in a whole sector of the economy. Also, people need to notice that the change that's happening, that's ending certain jobs because technologies are coming in, is also disruption, but they can't see it just as that negativity. They have to see it as the change that's also like helping us come up with better medicines and better education. So I think it really does help to define what disruption is.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go back a little bit and talk a little bit more about just the retail industry, because something that I noticed was that all of these changes that we're coming up with and that we're noticing, all it's going to do is just change the way that we interact with the retail industry or with any industry in general. And it's just going to allow for more fluid interaction. So it streamlines the process of how we get something done now. And I know that for me, like, I would never have considered that to be disruption, but it is. And I know, like, for my parents' generation, they just see it as a nuisance. But for all of us, we adapt to it and we're attentive to it. So we pick up and move on. where I think the blind side comes in, where we're kind of blind-eyed to noticing the disruptive forces as a disruptor instead of just a change.
And retail specifically is going through a lot of disruption with just mobile apps and how now you don't need like a personal shopper to actually go in. Your phone can do that for you, and you can actually look at something that someone else is wearing, put your phone up to it, and know where they bought it for, how much it was. So it's just a matter of making everything more technology based rather than just in-store based.
I also think that this adds in with the whole, you don't need the people that are working in retail to know the product as much as they used to, or know it even more, because the customers know so much about the products now. It's so different. Like before, a customer came in and they said, I want a camera. Like, can you tell me about all the cameras in Best Buy? Now you go in and you know what camera you're buying when you walk into Best Buy.
I agree with that a lot, and I think that's really shown us that whole thing through our 4 C's, that we divided everything up, and we saw how, because of this new disruption that's going on, the cost of things are changing, and the culture, and like exactly what Carolina said, someone's not going to walk into a store and say, I want a camera. They're basically going to say, I want this specific camera, I know the price, and they're going to be at that store because they know that they have the cheapest price there. So it just really changes the way that retails are going to work. They're probably just going to be selling the products and not even have a need to have actual employees there. It's probably just going to be like, here, you can buy your product and that's it. If anything, maybe we won't have actual stores anymore. I don't know, like, what do you guys think? Do you think we would ever come to the point where we don't have stores?
I don't. I think that we'll never go away with it.
Really? See, I think with little things, like Melissa was saying, you don't need certain, like, even the bookstore at school, if you don't want to buy your supplies there's a vending machine in the library that supplies, like, everything you need kind of thing. Or you can get it online off of Amazon. I know I would be more likely to buy pens and a stapler off Amazon than I would be at the school bookstore, even though it's right there.
But there's also a psychological thing with going into a store and looking at something, touching it, keeping it in your hand. And I know that's more of like an old school thought, but I think the idea of a store is never actually going to go away. Like, people will still go out and shop, or people will still go out to go get something, because it's more of an experience rather than you're doing it just to get something. Because you can always get something online, but this is more just like relaxing and therapeutic.
I actually did research into this because it fell into the whole culture aspect of how the store is almost becoming non-existent, but I really don't think it's ever going to be non-existent, because it's going to turn into a balancing act where the retailer leverages an online platform. So I feel as though what's inside of the store may change, but the fact that we're going to have a physical store isn't going to change. And in fact, Annie Dunn from Bonobos, I'm not sure if you know the company, it's a clothing supplies.
Yeah.
They were strictly online based, and their sales weren't phenomenal, and they went into stores, and they now have like store locations. The store locations do on margin 85% better.
That's like the reverse effect for H&M, that they were completely all stores until a couple years ago. I think it was literally 2 years ago that they just launched online.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I found for cost was that now a lot of companies do like price match guarantee. So I think what it's ultimately going to come down to is not how much more or expensive, like more or less expensive a product is. It's more like how you have your loyalty to a specific brand or to a specific store. So like their experience has to be all encompassing for you, because prices will be very similar, like maybe $1 or $2 difference, really.
Yeah. I mean, I shop at Nordstrom all the time, and I love going into the Nordstrom store, but Nordstrom has a fantastic app that I could do everything through the app. So if I can't get to the Nordstrom store, I could go into the app and I could buy whatever it is I need to get. But there's something about going in and walking into like a Nordstrom's that's just awe-inspiring. Like, I mean, besides the fact that it's like really nice, but so that's where, like, in the back of my head, I like full-heartedly believe that there's going to be a leveraging and a balancing act between online and in-store. And I think that it's really going to come down to what it's like on the inside, because Apple and Microsoft have changed the inside of their store completely. the shelves are significantly shorter. And if you haven't noticed, that's because the mental being of a human doesn't want to be entrapped in anything. So when the shelves are taller than you, it gives off a negative feeling. They cut the shelves down. They put products out in the open for someone to interact with. It reduces the barrier between the customer and the end product. So I really feel as though the store may not be where you're going to go there for everything, but the store isn't going to leave because it's always going to be there. It's a facet of the shopping industry.
Personally, I completely agree with Jimmy with the whole Nordstrom, like going into a store. I prefer going into a store so much more than just buying things online, and I trust it more. I'm just saying not completely count it out, because I think that's what disruption is. It's like someone could have said, like, there'll never be a touchscreen phone, but then there was. So I'm not saying it's going to happen soon, especially because, like, I think our generation still enjoys going into stores, but it's just transferred onto online so much already that I don't think it's completely out of the question.
So do you guys think that the one thing that's really going to maintain all these stores is just the experience that you get from the store? Or like, do you think that's the full maintaining factor, that people are never going to want to let go of that experience of walking into a Nordstrom or walking into an H&M or another store?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the culture now, especially like what Jimmy was saying, but I don't know how it's going to change.
I don't think that someone's going to go to the store in 40 or 50 years just to walk around and see if they find something. That's something that we used to do, not so much anymore, but like that just goes to show how it's changing. But I don't think that the fact that a building with Nordstrom's name on it isn't going to be there. I think what's on the inside might just vary in the future.
Okay.
I think a lot of stores are going to take like the Target route and just put more like Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, just like more things to eat and do rather than just shop.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up our whole session, I guess we could give like a quick summary of everything we touched upon. I know we started off talking about how we're going to deal with this, and then we streamlined straight to the retail industry. So does anybody want to pull on to like some of the hot button issues that we brought up?
I really think that it stems from just noticing. I really do. So, like, you may not exactly think that something is disruptive, but it is. And I think that moving forward, that's all that we can do, and that's all that we should be doing.